Hey everyone, what does it mean when you get a huge cheer at a wrestling show? It's called a pop. But when you get a freaking massive one, it's called a monster pop. And that's us. We're the Monster Pop Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Reclaim Joey, and I'm joined by the one and only Brose Wood and Emperor of Destruction. Today we're going to talk about who we are and how we pertain to wrestling, our experience with wrestling. We're really excited to bring you this podcast. We've been talking about it for a long time. All of us have been talking about it independently for a long time, and it kind of just brought everybody together. And we're really excited to bring you a podcast of this sort, something a little different than what other people do, maybe. So I'll send it over to Brose. Tell us about yourself, man.
What's up, guys? My name is Brose. I'm a Twitch streamer and a long time wrestling fan. I've been watching wrestling since I was about 4 years old, and I've fallen in and out of love with it a couple times. But I'm hoping to rekindle that spark that was once there, and it should be a good time doing this here podcast with these fellas.
Yeah, and I'm Emperor of Destruction. I've been following wrestling for quite a while as well. I think it actually started with me playing some of the video games, particularly SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain. And I've kind of, again, sort of fallen in and out of love with it at different times. But I've been sticking with it for a while now. I'd say for the past 8 or so years, I've been really following everything pretty closely.
And me, I've spent time on the indies as a pro wrestler for 4 years. I've always loved pro wrestling ever since I was a child. Again, just like everybody, there's been times where you fall in and out of love with it. But there's also, to me, there's like ways that you appreciate wrestling. Like like you like it, you believe in it when you're young, and then maybe you fall out of it, but then you also start liking it again, but then you don't want anybody to know about it. It's almost like an embarrassing
Exactly.
thing. You know what I mean? I remember one time I had this girl that I liked, or I was seeing her, and my friend Davey, he was like, dude, Sabu's in town. Let's go see Sabu, because Sabu is going to be wrestling at this independent promotion that we were going to work at, or we were gonna go to. And he's like, dude, come on, come see Sabu, come see Sabu. And I was like, oh, I can't, dude, I can't. I'm supposed to hang out with this girl and stuff. And he's like, oh man, bring her along, man. It'd be a cool date or whatever. And I was just like, oh, I can't. He's just like, you haven't told her, have you? Like, it used to be like a fucking reveal that you had to do.
It's like coming out to your parents.
Yeah, exactly. You had to like reveal that you enjoy pro wrestling to people. But now I'm more proud of it. I love it, especially like since I spent time as a pro wrestler, and I'm not ashamed of it anymore. And I'm happy to be here doing a podcast about it.
Dude, that's definitely something I've noticed recently with myself. Like I've embraced the whole wrestling aspect of things because like on Twitch, you have hella people come in. It's like I have a whole like wrestling belt behind me, and they're just like, "Wait, you watch wrestling?" I'm like, "Yeah," and like it's just nice to find like-minded people now. Because like when I was in school, I had two people who I talked to about wrestling. That's it. I didn't have anyone, so I would just talk to them. But now that we have communities and people that like come in and say what's up and talk about wrestling, it's really dope to like wrestling again. So I'm very excited about this.
Oh, straight up. I mean, that's something that's really really got me through some tough times in these last couple of years too. Like, I mean, I forgot to mention that I also stream on Twitch. I'm a Twitch partner, and it's been a part of my life for a really long time. And that exact same thing, like people in the community, we started having these watch parties where we just really let loose and hang out, and we scream and yell, and it's a lot of fun. And it's just really been cool to like find other people that love wrestling instead of my one or two friends that enjoy it, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, and I think it's really just benefited from sort of this almost like nerdy renaissance of like kind of every type of interest, right? Like from different movies, comic books, etc. That has sort of like emerged in the past few years. I feel like wrestling is also kind of part of that in a lot of ways.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. Cause like it's now it's like with the internet, it's just so easy to find those like-minded people. It's just so much easier to just be a nerd about things that you actually love. So I
Exactly.
think I think with that, and it's like just coming up and I love it, man. I love it. I love just talking about shit and nerding out about it, dude.
It's interesting, EOD, that you bring that up. That you bring up the idea of like, um, I forgot what you fucking brought up, dude. I just fucking
The nerdy renaissance.
yeah, the nerd, not even like the nerdy, yeah, the nerdy renaissance. Like as far as like comic books and stuff goes, I always felt like pro wrestling was like the closest thing you could get to like a superhero. And even though it is what it is, like it's there are people playing a character and stuff like that, but like they're athletes and you have things that they can do things that other people can't, like which is what a superhero can do, right? Superheroes can fly or whatever. Wrestlers can do things that like you couldn't even like. I couldn't, you can't do like a 450 splash to the outside or something like that. They just do things that are just above and beyond things that you could ever even like imagine doing. And then they wear tights, colorful tights, like superhero uniforms and things like that. It's literally like they fight good and evil. It's just stories about good and evil. It's literally the closest thing you can get to like superhero comic books like out there.
Yeah, and it's
More
kind
so
of,
than
yeah, and like it's kind of interesting too because like as a storytelling medium, which is kind of how I really came to embrace wrestling more as I got older, was like kind of it's really unique in the way it tells stories, right? Because you have like this week to week feedback. Like obviously the comic books and other things are serialized too, but you don't have like these things are written well in advance. You don't necessarily have like this is our big story for the week and like the crowd just shit all over it. And if you're WWE, you stay the course anyways, but other promotions not necessarily. And even WWE in the past, they wouldn't necessarily just stick with like a really bad angle as their main angle. But it's really interesting seeing like how the crowd reacts to things and different story beats.
yeah. I feel you on that. Oh, go ahead, man.
Oh, I just 100% agree with that. Like it's the whole weekly episodic thing, like because with like say something nerdy like comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean that sounded mean to comics, even though it didn't mean to be
Right, I
mean
mean,
to
it's
comics.
just, I think it's just something that you just sort of embrace, right? That this is all kind of part
Yeah,
of this nerd
absolutely.
subculture, which I think has kind of become a little bit more mainstream. But yeah.
Yeah, so like with that, like you have to wait for, a new issue to come out. You gotta wait for like a whole new series to come out. With wrestling, it's like it's gonna be the next week, so you're fine.
I mean, with any form of media, any form of like media, like a movie, like if you want to see the next Avengers movie, how many years do you have to wait?
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
It's like literally years, or the next installment of Star Wars or something like that. Like, exactly. I think the fastest comic books really come out is like bi-weekly. And yeah, wrestling, you're always having something to watch, and then there's so many people that are doing it. There's all different companies, and there's no shortage of it to watch. You're always gonna find something that you like personally, like your taste as a pro wrestling fan. Whether it's comedy, whether it's like technical style, strong style, or they take it serious, or if you want the fucking McDonald's variety show that WWE is, and, if that's more your speed, then yeah, you can go with that too. And like, I love that aspect of pro wrestling. That's just fantastic. It's captivating to follow. Like once you like learn that you can follow these characters and you can see them grow in and outside of the ring. Like there's an honesty to pro wrestling, even though it's not a real sport.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
One of the things that we want to accomplish with this podcast is obviously we want to talk about current things and things that are happening, but we also want to like talk about our experiences as well, like what we're saying, and also like give our take, just our take, maybe on current events that are happening in wrestling. We just want to talk about fucking wrestling, just straight up, just talk about it. And I think that this is a good platform for that. Do we want to take? We'll be doing Q&A. Do we want to take questions now, or do we want to wait till after we talk about what we saw this week?
I feel like we should talk about what we saw.
Yeah,
first,
let's.
to be
Yeah,
honest.
absolutely. Yeah, I think that's where we start with it. Yeah.
Okay. So, like, a good place to start, I mean, as good as any. We watched a few shows today. We did miss one, but but we can talk about what we watched. I mean, we watched the AEW products. We watched Dynamite and Rampage. We also watched the Royal Rumble. So if you saw that, you're gonna get our take on that. We did miss PWG's Battle of Los Angeles, and after watching Royal Rumble, I kind of wish we would have watched the Battle of Los Angeles.
I feel like this will make for more interesting content, though. To be fair,
why don't you get us going, EOD? Tell us, give us a starting point where we started in Dynamite.
Yeah, so I believe Dynamite actually opened at the TNA title or TNT title, right?
Yep,
That
Did it
was
open?
it
I
opened with
think
it. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Oh
pretty sure it
yeah.
opened.
Okay. Holy. Oh yeah. It totally did.
An incredible match. I mean, I think honestly, and it's kind of weird because like I'm actually not like super high on Cody Rhodes or Sammy Guevara as wrestlers, to be honest. Like I think there's just certain things that they're not totally like my favorites and whatnot. But this was a great match. Probably one of the better ladder matches you're ever going to see anywhere, in my opinion. Especially coming off of the GCW show the week prior, where the ladder match was just filled with all kinds of like dangerous spots because of botches and like very uncooperative ladders and whatnot. And you could tell that maybe they were watching it and made sure their ladders worked as intended. But crazy spots. The cutter from the ladder was incredible. If that happened anywhere else, I would probably think that both competitors were probably going to die.
That spot was insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. We all popped. We popped. We watched.
We
it
really
together,
did.
And I popped. We popped big when that happened. That was really. It was really good. It was just so well placed, and they didn't do too much. Like they didn't go like crazy with it, and they didn't.
Yeah, there was like
Actually,
there was like a crossroads off the ladder too. That was a pretty good spot.
right.
Not I don't think it didn't look as good, but
Honestly, I
Just-
thought it looked really. It was well done, but Sammy sold it really well, like
Yeah.
really well. And
Yeah.
I don't even like Sammy like that. I've never really been about the whole Sammy Guevara train, but I thought he did really well selling that. And dude, the match was. I haven't watched like a solid ladder match in a while, and that was I enjoyed it very much.
well, I remember we even talked about this at the time. I think there was another spot where he did like a splash on the like on a ladder onto the outside, where it looked like it was a
And
pretty
he
rough
whiplashed.
landing.
Yeah, he
and like
whiplashed.
he was like really selling it. I'm like, I've seen you sell a lot, and I think that this is just like a legit. Like you're just like
Yeah, he's just
legitimately in
hurt.
pain.
He either just all of a sudden got really good at selling, or he like was really in pain right there.
Oh yeah.
I think like I like Sammy Guevara, okay, and I like the way he's developing. I think that he's missing some things, in my opinion. Like he's got a lot going for him, and
For sure.
but he's missing some things. I really think like he's the kind of guy that could study some like old tape to like fill in those gaps that would make him just unbelievable. Like he'd just be incredible. And that's one of those things like selling and like just going from A to B for your stuff, like finding himself. I think that he is like really young, so he's still kind of finding himself as like a pro wrestler and everything.
Yeah, he doesn't
And-
really have a strong character
Yeah.
either, in my opinion.
Yeah, his promos
character's
are
just
kind of
he's a
weird.
vlogger.
It's good to see him like get some things that he latches onto, like he does the cue cards. He came out like when he first came to AEW. He had the panda hat on and stuff like that. He doesn't really do that anymore, and he kind of evolved out of that. And now he's doing like the inner circle thing, but he doesn't, or he was doing the inner circle thing, but he's coming out with like a biker jacket on, and it just doesn't really fit him. And he can tell he's still really finding his footing as a wrestler, but I can see him developing as well, even though he's not my favorite right now, but I can see him developing and I see where he's going. But I think he could really benefit by just really being under the learning tree from some old school guys, and he probably is. He's got R in there and everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, now who, like, I was, like, kind of wondering, like, because we've talked a little bit about this in the past, about, like, he could really benefit from looking at these tapes. If you were to, like, tell him, like, look at, like, a handful of guys and their old matches, who would you recommend for him to watch?
Like if you were to watch, like, man, if you were to go back and like watch some stuff, holy shit, that's a really good question.
Honestly, for me, I feel like he would really benefit from watching some like old ECW matches, like super crazy type stuff.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Super
Yeah.
crazy. Then the Tajiri matches were dope, and I think Sammy could. I think he could like sink his teeth into that and do really well with that style. Not much like personality there, but it's still a dope just style to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. That would help him, I think, a lot, like going from point A to point B, because the way those like old like cruiserweight matches and like even like those crazy matches in ECW, and it's funny because and I started talking about this during like while we were watching old ECW shows. There's this like really cool like somebody like online did this really cool ECW project where they got all the original like footage of the pay-per-views, like every single pay-per-view or like even like big event that they did like even before the pay-per-view started, and they restored the original audio and they're all remastered and it's insane. And we started watching through some of that stuff and it's just really good. And you see like how good a guy like Mikey Whipwreck is, and like and you don't even think about that or like why...
like people like that are like Mikey are really unsung heroes of that era too.
Oh yeah, because there were so many guys that were really good in that way back then. So maybe you didn't notice, or maybe it was just because I was young and like didn't really pay attention to certain things. But like even like watching the Sandman back then, like I was like, man, I remember the Sandman being cool, but I don't remember him being like this. Like this is amazing. Like he was crazy.
Sandman did crazy things, dude.
Yeah.
Like he had some of the, not even the ring work, but just like him being himself, you know.
Yes,
was so good. Because right now you don't see anyone being themselves. Like in like the east side of things, dude. You don't see anyone being themselves. They're all this cookie cutter bullshit. Sandman was a revolutionary. Like him and Raven and just all that was like revolutionary for the time, and it was incredible.
Here's one guy that's modern now that is himself, that is just like that, and maybe as good at it in most ways than Sandman was, maybe even better in some ways, and that's Nick Gage. Nick Gage is
absolutely
for sure.
He's
that
unapologetically
kind of
himself. Exactly.
Yeah, and Nick Gage might not be the best in the ring, but man, he has that pro wrestling magic that you like look for in like a pro wrestler, like that you would always want to have, like that connection, that like that realism, doesn't give a fuck. He'll protect kayfabe till he fucking dies. Like he's the man. Like he's so good at that kind of stuff, and that's why people like him so much. But it's just, he was just like, we were watching Sandman, and we're like, dude, this is exactly like Nick Gage. Like it's exactly like him.
It was funny too because I remember like going in, because I hadn't really seen him too much outside of like when he came back for like the WWE ECW thing, which I think was pretty much just him beating the shit out of a zombie, and I don't think he really did a whole lot else. But you would kind of been like, well, he's like Nick Gage but less athletic. But then we saw him do like some really crazy like just kick-ups and stuff like that. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe we were wrong.
But he looks so funny when he did that stuff. Like he's like a savant, like an athletic savant. Like he was doing these crazy like springboards into the ring with like the sloppiest looking leg drop, but he can do it, and it just looked so awesome. And like what you were saying, Brose, is that like he was himself. Like when you see his leg drop and stuff, you're like, that's a fucking Sandman leg drop. And you would probably always, if you see anybody else do a leg drop like that, you'll probably always be like, that's a Sandman leg drop. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
and when
absolutely.
And as it pertains to like Sammy Guevara, when Sammy Guevara does like a flip or something like that, it's good, it's very good, but it's very by the numbers. Like it doesn't look like a Sammy Guevara flip. Like it would look exactly like anybody else's flip. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Those old ECW tapes, that's absolute gold. And you called it, man. I couldn't even think of like who he should watch. Like I could say that all day long, but I was like, who should he watch? Because my first instinct was like maybe somebody like that was like clean cut and coming up and stuff like that. And the first thing I thought was like Randy Orton. I was like, but would Randy Orton really benefit him? But like,
I don't think so.
No.
But maybe, he would, but not in the way that we're talking about. But because obviously Randy Orton is where he is for a reason. But going back and looking at how those guys did things and how they had their own stamp of who they are, like show through in their work. That's something that he needs. That is 100% what he's missing.
And like honestly, if we think of someone like a little bit more modern, I think like him watching like Brian Kendrick would be really good, because Brian Kendrick completely reinvented himself, and I think he's dope.
Dude, we're on the same page of that. Are you talking about like when he was like 205 Live, but during that Cruiserweight Classic?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah,
so
when
good.
I saw him and I was like, he's the best wrestler in the company right now.
He really was.
He was so good. The way he used the ring as like a weapon, and like he's small. He was even smaller than some of those other Cruiserweight guys. and he was like using the ring as a weapon, like using it to crank on things, using it like as an escape, just using the ring, and not even in like a normal cruiserweight way, not for like springboards and things like that. He was using like the post for leverage and just shit like that. Like it was just so brilliant. Dude, we're on the same page about that.
And I don't know if you guys have been following some of the rumors lately, but apparently Brian Kendrick has asked for his release, so we could be seeing him.
He's still there?
He's like a backstage guy mostly, which is weird because I think he was like on an episode of NXT 2.0. I haven't really watched it ever since they rebranded it, outside of a few clips. But he was like, they teased a few, but then they just dropped it and haven't done anything with him. He hasn't been seen in weeks, and now he's requested his release.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know he was there still. I had no clue.
He does train people though. I know. I think he helped Liv Morgan a lot.
Yeah, he helped Eva Marie a lot too. Dude.
Yeah. He helps people a lot, and like, man, like the fact that he's not like, he needs to be teaching the next generation because he's so
he's super good.
So good.
He's so good. And I I don't want to talk too much shit, but I mean, he went to Shawn Michaels' school, and like he trained a lot under Shawn Michaels' assistant, and the way that guy treated me on the indies, but like, but that guy, it hates me that guy is so good because he's such a piece of shit. But he, man, that school is just really, really freaking good. Obviously, it produced people. Yeah, brought out like, Danielson and Kendrick, and they still train people. They still have people coming out of there. Everybody that comes out of there is pretty good too.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was the ladder match, and
that was the ladder match.
Really good. Definitely, anyone who hasn't seen it, go out of your way to see it. The rest of the card was on Dynamite was okay, I think. I think the main event was really good too, though. But you kind of had Wardlow versus a few jobbers. Didn't really have a whole lot to say about that. Wardlow,
he had to get his heat back.
Yeah, he's got to get his heat back.
You know?
Yeah, it was his hometown, but he also he needed to get his heat back. Like the week before, CM Punk fucking, I know he was trying to do the Bret Hart thing, but it made him look so shitty. Like to just randomly get rolled up like that after fucking killing him with all those power bombs. Like he had to get something back after that.
Yeah, and I think
he looked so bad.
Yeah, and I think AEW is good about that generally, right? Like he looked bad one week, but they made sure to correct course, right?
Yeah, they are.
And at least he looked bad against a top guy, right? It wasn't like he lost to I don't know who would be. I mean, like, not that there's anything wrong, Jungle Boy, but if he lost to Jungle Boy, that would probably be like worse, right? Because it's someone
a bit more
who's
detrimental.
Someone who's not necessarily on
at that point yet. Yeah. What did you guys think about Danhausen's debut?
That was awesome.
Your reaction, Joey, was the best thing I've ever dealt with in my entire life. How many times did we watch? I think we watched it 6 times.
We watched it over and over.
You went back like 6 times. It
was
great, dude.
I like Danhausen, but I wasn't even going back because it was Danhausen. Like I really like Danhausen. I think
the pop was just it was a monster pop.
Yeah,
man. It was great.
Well, that was a monster pop right there. Yeah, straight up.
And like, what a perfect way to like debut him. Like, if you know who he is and whatnot, it's perfect. If you don't, you're like, who is this like just bizarre guy? There was so much character, and when Adam Cole dragged the chair out and he's there and he does like his I mean, if you don't know who he is, he's doing like the curse thing, and then like he just like crawls out the arena like just a really bizarre way. But it's like you're going to like see that like. And then the commentator's like, it's Danhausen, and so you're gonna look up who he is if you don't know who he is, and like it's perfect. Like it benefits them for having like someone who was able to get over organically without really any TV time or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Ring of Honor, but like who was watching that at the time, and like he was like,
and the only Ring of Honor anyone was really watching was like that last show because it was the end of an era, and he wasn't on it because he was injured.
And that's not a knock on ROH. It's just that like. So many. It's kind of a shell of its. It was kind of a shell of its former self, but like they just there was just so much out there. There's like if you want the best wrestling, you'd watch New Japan. If you want, like I said, you want the variety show, you watch WWE. Or actually, not even that. Like if you want the like McDonald's, you go to WWE. If you want to watch like just a really good solid wrestling show, you watch AEW. They've got good storylines, things that you can really sink your teeth in and stuff, and You know, if you like the fucking chaos like I do, you watch GCW. You know, there's so much other stuff to watch, and ROH kind of had like this sports like presentation, and even though they have incredible fucking talent, like some of my favorite talent of all time, like the Briscoes, for instance, like it was just came off as boring, and it just felt like a shell of its former self, and I feel bad for them that they got to this point. But back to my original point, like Danhausen got himself over with social media, with being on YouTube, all sorts of that stuff, and being funny. He's moving crazy amounts of merch, and he's not signed to a major company. Like, this is a big get for AEW, I think, and I think people are in for something really cool. If they, some people don't really like the silly stuff, but I think they're in for something really cool with Dan.
Well, I'm just really curious to see where this goes, right? Like, what is like his first program gonna be? Like all this stuff, because there's so many like crazy ways that he could be worked, right? Is he gonna, like, given that it was in the Orange Cassidy versus Adam Cole match, is he going to like start feuding with the Elite or something, or Red Dragon or whatever?
I don't think they're going to send him,
but
I don't think they're going to stick him to a feud right away at all. I think he's just going to keep popping up doing weird shit, because like I think that's his thing. Like he, if you look at like AEW on Twitter, AEW on TV's Twitter, like on their profile picture is just him like popping up, like it's just it's like his head like peeking, and it's like I think he's just gonna be like showing up for a while, and then they're gonna ease him into something. But I imagine maybe he will like be involved with whatever the best friends are doing or something like that.
Danhausen of the Chaos.
But you never know. But like my reaction to it, and the reason why I wanted to watch it so much, is just because it was just, that's like pro wrestling magic, when just something really comes together like that, and then everybody's like going nuts, and like it's organic. It's not something that people shove down your throat. It's not like Danhausen is coming for fucking 18 weeks or something like that, and he finally shows up. Like, it was like so freaking organic and such a cool surprise.
It was a moment, and I don't think we have enough moments in wrestling anymore. And that was something that was just like so cool. And me, like an outsider looking in, because I don't know much about Danhausen at all. That me being there and like experiencing not only the moment, but like your joy from that moment was so cool, dude. It was so cool. And I think like I don't know him. I didn't do much research on him. I read a couple of like things on him, and whatever they do with him, they're gonna do something good. I feel like they're gonna do something good. They're just not gonna put some random dude in their profile picture if they don't have something good for him, you know?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. As somebody who didn't know him, after that, do you feel like you're excited to tune, like you're looking forward to tuning in?
I want to know what they do. I want to know what he's about. I want to know things, you know? I want it left a lot of questions, and questions are good, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of funny. I was thinking about this, Brose, when you said that we don't get a lot of moments these days, because whenever I hear anyone talk, and we'll get more into this when we talk about the Rumble, but whenever I hear anyone talk about WWE, they're always like, well, they're not about the wrestling, they're about the moments. But like you said, it's not like we really
There's no moments.
Yeah. But yeah, well, I'm sure that'll be a theme that we'll touch on more later. But yeah, I think it was Dynamite was really exciting. In general, I would say that the main event that Danhausen debuted in was also pretty good. I liked I thought the finish was pretty creative with Orange Cassidy hugging Adam Cole, which felt like kind of like a double reference to both, the best friends hug, giving the crowds what they want, and then kind of the Young Bucks like kissing Adam Cole thing because of just the positioning, and then they had like it was a good finish. I kind of figured with it being a lights out match and then not contributing to a record would probably lend itself to Orange Cassidy over Adam Cole, so Adam Cole can like take the loss and not really be impacted
by it.
Yeah.
But they also love to do those big feuds with the best friends, and they always have the most feel good moments at the end of their feud.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Oh, it's the best. Like the Miro feud, and then the Trent coming back, and every time Trent comes back, it's a feel good moment. With his mom showing up and dropping him off. But the rest of the card was really good, I think. The Layla Hirsch versus Red Velvet match was okay. I really like Layla Hirsch. I'm excited to see where they're going with her as a heel. I would love to see her be a part of Team Taz, because of her wrestling style, and she's a badass. She's so good. And then I would like to see more factions have women in them. I think it would be cool to like have that like visual and that kind of dynamic in their factions, and they already kind of do with the best friends. They've got Chris Statlander in it and stuff.
Yeah, and I think you definitely want more of it. And I know there's the kind of a common critique that like AEW underutilizes its women's division. I don't totally agree with it, but
I don't agree with that. Yeah,
I can see some critiques of it. This match, and it's weird because it's like, yes, it's the only women's match on the show, but like I feel like it went like, maybe not that it went too long, but I feel like it should have been like kind of just, it really should have just showcased Layla just like beating the crap out of Red Velvet. You know, this is like sort of like this fresh heel. Like I kind of wanted to see it be a little bit more like dominant and end a bit more quickly.
I agree with that too. I think like it would have been much better to see Layla just fucking destroy Red Velvet and just like really get over as that heel. She's fresh. She's gonna have momentum. Like I think that would have been much better. What did you think about that match, Brose?
I think it was solid. It could have been, it might have went a little long. I definitely feel like it was a, I don't know. Maybe it just felt like a lot of the same in terms of like AEW's women's division. I think I really like Layla, and I think she has a really cool look, and I think they could do a lot with her. But I don't think this was like a great showcasing of what they can do with her.
I
agree.
I think part of it, like in general, their division suffers from the fact that a lot of their women are more green. Like in this case, Red Velvet's very green. And like that's fine. It's okay to be green. Like as long as you improve over time, I think that's really all anyone can really ask of you. But it's like one of those things that just sort of when they came up, right? WWE had everyone signed, so you only really had a few people who I think really had any like star power or potential star power, at least at the very beginning of Dynamite.
Yeah, and of course the CM Punk MJF face off was just outstanding. Is there anybody better on the mic than MJF right now? Like,
he's
Roman Reigns.
Anyone? Okay.
Oh no. And MJF is great. I think someone else who I think it's more so that he just needs to wrestle more, and I get that they want to keep him special and whatnot, but I think I don't necessarily look forward to him in the ring as much as I do him on the mic. Not that he's bad in the ring, just that like his promos are always like a highlight, whereas like, you know, the inevitable match, I'm like, it'll probably be pretty good, but
Are you talking about MJF?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love his matches too. I was like howling at the moon at the last pay-per-view. Him and Darby had the best match on the card. It was fucking stellar. I thought they had a fucking incredible match. And like he's the total package when it comes to being a pro wrestler. He really is.
He is. Like I'm not trying to say that I think he's like bad in the ring. I just don't necessarily look forward to his matches the same level of which I do a lot of other people.
Gotcha.
I 100% get that. Yeah.
What did you think? What did you think about that, Brose?
I thought it was dope. I thought Wardlow coming out and decimating, and then the sitting on CM Punk's chest was so dope, dude. I loved it. Just the visual was great, and you can't go wrong with it.
And it's a callback to Kenta doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it you can't really go wrong with either of them. Just war of words. So I think it was really well done. They both did great, and it was good TV. It was just really good TV.
Now with their match being next week, who do we got winning that one? Punk or MJF?
I still think I think it's gonna be MJF. I think they've got like the fucking heat on MJF, and doing it in his hometown is going to be insane, and I think they're going to have a huge payoff at the pay-per-view. Because I'm surprised that they're doing this before the pay-per-view, because I think people will really pay to see this match. But they're doing it in a big market, which is Chicago, and I think they're going to fucking set this shit on fire with this. Like, they're going to fucking...
Oh, for sure.
Hope in a good way.
It's going to be a really good show, I'm sure. Yeah, their next show... I mean, it's their next pay-per-view is in March in Orlando. I could see them continuing it potentially.
Early March, right?
Yes, it's March 6th.
Here's the thing: if MJF wins, it's going to be the same thing. CM Punk's going to still want a match, he's gonna want to beat him, and then MJF doesn't have to give him the match. That's kind of what they've been doing already. And he's like, I already beat you, dude. I don't have to do another
The
match.
only problem I have with that is it more or less replicates the MJF Jericho feud.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah, that's kind of MJF's MO.
A little bit, yeah.
Is this a match that you're looking forward to seeing, guys?
I think
Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
it'll be I think it'll be a solid match. Like both of them can go. I think it's gonna be. I feel like the storytelling, because like Punk is so good with storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the storytelling in the match is gonna be like solid. But I also have a fear it's just gonna be like a fucky finish. You know, like some like nothing like the Reigns Rollins match. But like I feel like there's definitely gonna be something to it that fucks it up.
Mm-hmm. No, there was a 6-man tag on that show, which I really like. Daniel Garcia and 2.0 as a group. The Jericho being with like Santana Ortiz and the fucking Inner Circle thing. That shit is just like wearing on me. I'm just not into that anymore. It doesn't get me excited at all.
I don't think I haven't been into the inner circle in forever. I mean, I think I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. And I know that they're a very popular group, and it's probably one of those things where I have that sort of hot take view that I'm like, they don't really do a whole lot for me. This seems to be teasing a breakup potentially with like Eddie Kingston as the impetus. That could be interesting, but it also at the same time does feel like Jericho's sort of just latching on to like whoever the hottest star is at the time to sort of make himself relevant, right? Like we were talking about, especially after the pay-per-view, the last pay-per-view, how just over Eddie Kingston is and how he very well could be their next like huge star.
Yeah, it really seemed like he had that Stone Cold Steve Austin factor to him straight up. Like oh man, there's something that they're not doing to get it there, but I think it's almost there. He's just amazing.
For sure.
I also really like 2.0. I know people have like say that they have a lot of TV time and stuff like that, but they're so versatile. It's deserved, and they're so versatile. They're like those old school ECW tag teams that you can see on every single show, and they're doing something crazy, like like the Eliminators or fucking Danny Doring and Roadkill or something like that. You can see them on every show, and they're just doing something crazy. I like that. I like that about them. What do you think about this match, Brose?
I'll be honest, I completely forgot it happened. I think it was really forgettable. There was nothing like too like nothing much going on, and
it's positioned
maybe
in that bathroom break portion of the show.
Yeah, maybe I was distracted. Maybe I don't know what I was doing, but I just
it was nothing to write home about.
Yeah, it was nothing great. It was just a match.
Yeah, and I think this has been going on for a while with like 2.0 and like Jericho as well, and like I like 2.0 as I said, but like they need to kind of move on to something else, I think.
Mm-hmm. And then the other segment we had was the Britt Baker interview.
Oh yes,
which cool. She cut a promo, but what did it accomplish?
Yeah, I was surprised that they didn't really like line up a new challenger or anything.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was thinking. Like, where's the next challenger?
And like, she's good
on
the mic, but yeah, like we need like it's because like I mean, evidently it seems like like Thunder Rosa's tied up with like the Mercedes Martinez match, which will probably be really good.
Absolutely.
But and I think the issue of Britt's title reign so far has just been there's been weird gaps where there wasn't really a clear person to like provide a credible challenge to her.
I agree. They've done a really good job of building her, but like they're not building enough. Even though they have good women's wrestlers in the company, but they're trying to like present them, and they're trying to do this thing where they're trying to appease everybody and being like, oh, there's not enough women on the show. There's not enough women on the show. So what they have is they have Britt Baker in her feud. They've got Thunder Rosa in her feud. They've got Hikaru Shida feuding with Serena Deeb in their feud. So all the guys, but they're building those people. So they're individually building these other people, but they're elsewhere. They're building Jade Cargill. They're building Ruby Soho over here. Like they're building them all over the place. So the people that they're building aren't ready to challenge Britt Baker because they're tied up in another program.
One, having that second women's title is not going to help things either, at least in that regard. I think it makes for like not that I think that it's like bad TV or anything, but it's like it doesn't necessarily help like the main title picture when you have these kind of distracted people on the roster. And like maybe they might be able to bring in someone who can like kind of freshen things up and provide her a new challenge. Because that's the problem too, right? Is like she's kind of gone through not everybody, but she's gone through a lot of people.
What can we do something a little different here? I know like we're not doing the mailbag yet, but there was a question on Brose's tweet where somebody asked about Britt Baker.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What was the question exactly?
So the question exactly was thoughts on Britt Baker being compared to the likes of Charlotte and Becky, all because she's the only legit woman in her company. I know you have a lot of opinions on this, Joey. So I'm gonna let you take it.
Okay.
You know, you got it.
I don't necessarily agree with what he's saying, but I see where he's coming from. I think they have a lot of really legit women in the company. It's going to take time to build them, especially with how slow the women's division moves. And like I was saying, they're building people in different feuds. But you can't tell me that Serena Deeb isn't a legit awesome women's wrestler, or Ruby Soho isn't, or Layla Hirsch, or Jamie Hayter. You know, they've got good women on their roster. It's just going to take time for them to build them to that level, and I don't know if they're spreading themselves too thin. And when they do that, it might look like they don't have enough women stars. But God damn it, there's women that can go on that roster. Thunder Rosa, another one. Like I could keep going, but that's my take on it. Britt Baker is just the one that's kind of risen to the top, and that's awesome because she's fucking great. But there's other women that can have a spot like that too. Make no mistake. And that's my opinion on that.
Well, I kind of also want to like touch on like, because I agree with all that, but I want to touch on like the second half of that, which is like the being compared to like Becky Lynch and Charlotte. Like those two are only for perceived as being at like the top of the mountain because they had like a particular like breakout year or something at one point or another. I mean, Charlotte's been consistently presented as strong, but like it's almost exactly the same situation that they're accusing like them doing with Britt Baker, right? She was presented as like she ran through the entire women's roster, has had very few like credible challengers like ever. Not that really matters so much in WWE because they'll just 50-50 book into like a situation where it's like, oh well, this person deserves a title shot even though they've lost every single match because they won this tag match or something silly. And like I like Becky and Charlotte to a lesser extent. I think she's tend to have like I think she can definitely go and have really good matches, but she's also had a lot of like really like almost embarrassing ones, like those ones with like Nia Jax that went viral because of like just the really sloppy shooting and stuff like that. And I think that there tends to be a lot of those where they just descend into sort of this like botch fest for whatever reason. I don't know if it's a lack of chemistry. But clearly, it's not just the other competitor. It's clearly something on both levels. But like, and again, it's like Becky only really had that one really strong year in 2019, which I watched pretty much the entire of it. I loved that run, but like after that, they kind of just killed any momentum she had of just the way they featured her or didn't feature her, and things like that. I just don't think. I think it's fair to like make the comparison. I don't think it's at all like out of left field to make the comparison the way that the person's suggesting on the community questions.
Yeah, well, there's also like something to be said. Like even though you want to feature more women, if you're featuring like too many at once, like it's hard for people to like invest in the ones that they want to build up, and it's like a double-edged sword because I want to see more women wrestling. I want to see more of their matches, like more people getting built up and stuff like that. But I also want to see something that you can really latch on to, like we did Britt Baker. I like when during Britt Baker's rise, I was so pumped to see her every time she came out.
Yeah.
And then right now with no challenger, she's not as interesting. And I've said this before, but I feel like the chase is always more interesting than the actual reign for most wrestlers. Not everybody, but for most wrestlers. Like once the wrestler gets what you want as a viewer, and you're like, oh, they finally got the championship. Okay, so what's next? And then their fucking defenses better be interesting, or else you're gonna start losing interest, even though they're the champion. It's almost like getting into like a comfort area.
When they did a really good job with Adam Page with those Danielson matches.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his reign is still going though. Like
right. Yeah. But I mean, like
that remains to be seen.
But I mean, at least so far, right? Like, because it's sort of like you have this catharsis of finally getting the belt after this multi-year long storyline, and then, at least so far, right? I mean, I thought like those matches were incredible, both of them, and an interesting feud at that. The Lance Archer one is interesting, and we'll see how the match goes.
Brose, the women's division for you, have you seen any like standouts? What do you think about like what they're doing versus what WWE has?
Honestly, I think that AEW, I don't. You said wearing themselves too thin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can get that. I understand that,
Mm-hmm.
but also I feel like they need to also showcase the women that they have more.
Mm-hmm.
There was one match and a promo segment on Dynamite. That's it.
Yeah.
I think
Agreed.
if they put more time into their women's division and build those stars, a little bit better, I think that it could be their women's division is insanely strong because there's so many that can go, and like you have like Ruby, who's like a really good promo. Like she's a really good promo. Brit's a really good promo. But like that feud, it needs more. They need
Right.
they need more,
Right.
Something that they can actually like sink their teeth into and just get into it, I think their women's division could flourish.
I think it could too. I like one thing that's a little annoying about how, I mean, it's not, I don't know if it's annoying, but it's meant to make their championships look more prestigious, and I think it works for the most part. But the way they have their ranking system and stuff like that, there's no automatic rematch clauses. So when you have a match between Brit and Ruby and it's done and the feud's pretty good, but it's not going to keep going, and you feel like you don't have anything to sink your teeth into, like you're saying, which I agree with. At the same time, once she loses, it's time for the next challenger, and Ruby Soho goes on to do her next thing. But like, you don't get automatic rematch clauses.
Well, I mean,
and then people start
do for like the challenger per se.
Well, then some people start crying and they're like, "Oh, you're just rehashing the same match they're doing over and over and over again." So I guess they have to decide what they're doing with their championships and like what's the good idea to do. And I think that making their championships more prestigious is probably the best thing they can do. In terms of that. In terms of that. But yeah, you're right. They need to showcase more of their women. But I think like if you put somebody like Layla in like Team Taz, like we were saying, you get her featured with Team Taz.
Absolutely.
And like all of a sudden she has more time, and you're integrating all that. Like everything doesn't have to be separate. Like obviously, like I'm not really a fan of like intergender wrestling or anything, but I know a lot of people are. But if you mix in the women with what the men are doing, and it's not like a valet or somebody's girlfriend or something like that, and something that's low as that, like not low, I guess it's not low,
Well,
but
yeah,
as superficial, but like then you have something that you're presenting them on the same level as you are the men. Having fucking Layla Hirsch being a badass next to fucking Will Hobbs or something, that's fucking cool. And I want to see shit like that.
She looks like she can beat ass too. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Like, she looks like that.
Yeah.
So like you put her on a team like that, and you just showcase her more. That's more eyes on her. That's more publicity. It's good.
It's working for Chris Statlander. She looks like a bigger star than she's ever looked.
True.
Being paired with a group, and she's being featured more often with them and in her own feuds. So you see her multiple times, and she's integrated with other stuff. So it's not taking up like, you're not like having to like think about dedicating so much time to like a certain thing.
Yeah, what I was gonna say, I mean, like you said, presenting as more than just someone's girlfriend or whatever. I thought like the Britt Baker, Adam Cole stuff was pretty good. I think, like,
you're not wrong. Yeah,
like maybe integrating her group with the Elite more, I think would actually help too. Like
that would be sick. Yeah, I think that's smart. That would be smart of them to do. That'd be sick. Honestly, that would be really cool. So, y'all want to move on to Rampage?
Yeah,
absolutely.
This was a shorter show. Obviously, it's only an hour. I think there's 4 matches actually. The first off with Jon Moxley. Is this his first match back, or is it his second?
It's like his second match back.
He had Ethan Page.
He looked good. He's in fucking shape.
Dude, he looks great.
Ethan Page is fucking amazing. Wait, this wasn't the Ethan Page
Anthony
match,
Bowens
right?
was this week.
Right. Anthony Bowens looked fucking great. Yeah, Ethan Page was last week. But Anthony Bowens looks fucking great. We talked about them like being like kind of green, but they're learning every week, and they've really got some good stars there that they're building. Like,
well, I think Bones in particular is like really good in the ring. Like I think having like Max Caster be like sort of the more mouthpiece of the group, who's you know not quite as good in the ring, but you have Anthony Bones who can. I mean, he's had really good matches. I mean, granted, they're with like really good people like Moxley and Danielson, but I think that they're a really solid group all around.
absolutely. Brose, was this your first time seeing those guys? Seeing the
It
Acclaimed?
actually was, yeah, it was.
What did you think? What was your first impression of them?
I mean, it was cringe, but like in a good way, in a wrestling way. It was cringe in a wrestling way, you know.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
because like it was good. It was good stuff. I liked it. I think the what was it, Bones? Bones, is that his name?
Bones. Yeah.
I think he was good, and Moxley, you know, made him look good too. So Moxley looks insane. Like, he looks shredded, bro. He looks so good, and it was a solid match. It was honestly a solid match. We don't have to like talk about the rapping, but you know, it's fine. You know.
Yeah. I like
And
the
the rapping is
rapping.
what gets them over.
I really like the rapping, and that is kind of helping them get over and stuff like that. The wrestling is kind of catching up to that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this wasn't like one of their best raps. It was fine, but they've had some really good ones that I would definitely refer your way to check out at some point.
Okay. Yeah.
Trent Beretta versus Nick Jackson was up next. Did I say Trent Beretta versus Nick Jackson?
You're looking at last week.
Oh, I am looking at last week. What the fuck?
We had FTR versus Lee Johnson.
That's
and
right.
Brock
You're
Anderson.
right. Oh, dude, can we talk about Brock? I want to hear Brock
Anderson, bro.
Brock fucking Anderson,
dude,
man.
that kid is so good. The 48-year-old man who's who's 24 or whatever. Was he 23? Dude,
He's 24, I think.
that kid is so good, dude. And he looks like he has a 401k and 3 children. And I loved every second of that match. That match was so good. I mean, it's FTR. Let's be honest. Do they have really bad matches? Not really.
No, they don't have bad matches.
So I think solid all around. What was his tag team partner's name? I can't remember now.
Lee Johnson.
Dude, he's gonna be big, dude. He's
Think
gonna be
so?
big. I like him a lot. He moves really well, and like them working together was like it was just a solid match all around. I loved it.
It was money. Them together was money. I think that Brock Anderson could be alone, but like them together, it was money. Because I think for me, Lee Johnson looks like a dork, which makes it kind of a good. But he's got the Yoshihashi syndrome to me, and like he's a really good wrestler, but he looks so dorky. But him being in this tag team kind of like covered that up for him, and for me at least. And that's how it came across to me. Brock Anderson looks like a motherfucking killer.
Mm-hmm.
He looks exactly like his dad when he wrestles. He can move. He's so good. His facial expressions are good. He looks serious. He looks fucking smart. Like if they would have done with him what they did with Hook, he would be another Hook. Like there'd be 2 of those guys in that company right now. And like I don't know. I hope they see it. Because I really have like high hopes for Brock. But they're doing a good job with this tag team idea. I think they look fucking fantastic in the ring together. Like it was good chemistry. It was perfect. It was so perfect.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because like I agree that Brock could have been another Hook, but then so there's still, I think, you know, as far as like next generation talent, I think he's still being portrayed better than like Dominic Mysterio, who will probably talk a little bit about the Rumble. And like not a knock on good old Dom, but just, you know, it's really more an indictment on the booking and whatnot. But like I mean Brock, like I think we don't watch a ton of Dark, but I think every time we've seen him in a major match, I think he's lost. But he usually comes out looking pretty decent, at least.
Yeah, and Brock looks like a fucking man. He looks like a grown man. Like fucking believe him when he wrestles.
I really honestly do. Like he's really good. Like, and it's almost like just like a piece of Arn came off, right? And it sprouted into Brock, dude. It's like Arn cut his finger off, dude. Like
he just butted to create Brock.
Something. A piece of Brock did come off. It was Cum Anderson.
True. This is true.
He just needs to start cutting promos about Glocks and whatnot, and he'll be super over.
keep your eye on Brock Anderson and Lee Johnson. Keep your eye, especially Brock Anderson for me.
Especially Brock Anderson,
keep,
yes.
Yeah, keep your fucking eye on these guys because they're fucking awesome.
But I really like Lee Johnson too, and you crushed my soul a little bit. It's fine.
I'm sorry. He's a good babyface. I think he's gonna make a really great babyface one day.
I think
so too.
I think what you're benefiting from on your perspective, Brose, is that this was like your first time seeing him.
Yeah.
Because we had saw him when he like kind of came in, cut like a really dorky promo with Cody,
and
like
yeah. Honestly, yeah. And then the perception is the reality. So it's always like, I guess, I don't even want to show you old Lee Johnson.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch him. I'm not gonna watch him because I like him and I don't want to not like him.
Yeah. He's come a long way in a pretty short period of time.
Okay, cool.
Next up, we had Jade Cargill. This was the main event, right? No, this is not the main event.
Jade Cargill.
Next up was Jade Cargill versus Julia Hart. Julia Hart's fucking adorable and looks fucking cool with the eye patch. Jade Cargill.
The match.
Oh my god.
The match though.
Jade Cargill looks like a fucking monster. She's awesome looking. She looks great. Oh my gosh. Like the match wasn't terrible, but also
it really wasn't great.
Why the fuck are you a heel and not clawing? Like, why wouldn't you instantly go for the eye patch? Like, why wouldn't you go in there and
you go for the exposed eye, right? You gotta get rid of the second eye patch.
And then, like, she's heel, and then fucking Jade Cargill was getting kind of cheered at the end. Is that what you want for your heels? Like, why not? Like, Julia Hart's adorable, which means when she sells, people are gonna fucking care about her. She's gonna get the sympathy. People are gonna give a shit. They're gonna be sad for her. They're gonna love her. And like, oh my god, that would have made Julia Hart. That would have helped make Julia Hart. Mm-hmm. People would have gotten really into her. But instead, she was just getting slammed around and stuff like that, which kind of gave the same effect, but not quite.
Yeah.
But like, imagine if Jade was like tearing into her fucking eye and stuff, like sticking her thumb in it and like beating her down and taking advantage of her not having her full range of vision. Like, what?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like the eye patch didn't really influence like her style at all. It wasn't like she acted like. I mean, like blindside her or something. I think that's what I would have done if I was like the agent of that match. Like tell her like trying to like work into that.
Yeah, like when I did one of my tryouts, like I wrestled like a young guy. He was like, I think he was like 18. He's just a kid, and I might have been younger than that. And we were like, hey dude, just keep your head up during the match. Keep your head up during the match. He's like, okay. So we did this match and everything, and then and then after the match, like, you know, Tom Pritchard gives you like advice on like what happened and stuff like that. He told me I was the heel, and he's like, hey, that was good, but next time, like, be an asshole more. He's a kid. He's not gonna get over on you. Start smacking him around, like push his head, like nudge him with your foot, like give him a knee, like just, you don't have to do move after move after move after move. And that's what Jade was doing, just move after move after move after move. He's like, fucking be a dick. Like, he's not gonna get up or do anything, so why do you got to keep putting him down with a move? Like, just be an asshole, pull his hair, knock him down, push him, be an asshole, like show him to the crowd, like all sorts of shit like that. And I was like, man, that's so true. I wish I would have done that. And I feel like that's exactly what Jade Cargill should have been doing.
Yeah, I kind of want to push back a little bit on like the fact that she's getting cheered, and that's like not ideal for the heel, because like, I mean, you do have Brit, right? You have Brit who's been getting cheered for a really long time.
The exact same, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's just kind of like, it's just a challenge that like modern wrestling has, right? Of just like, fans are like, you know, if you're like really good at your job, you know, if you're a heel, people will get into that. And even like MJF, like, yeah, he still gets mostly booed, but like he's kind of playing on like certain tropes. But even then, like, there's been a few crowds that have kind of given away that it's sort of like, we're just booing you because we're supposed to, but you're kind of over with them still. Yeah. Like outside of Long Island, obviously, because that's, you know, a different story altogether.
This was without a doubt Brose's first time seeing both women, I would imagine, right?
Oh, 100%. I've never seen either.
Let's hear your feedback on that.
I didn't like the match. I'm not gonna lie. It was slow. It was boring. Sloppy at some parts.
Yeah.
I didn't know the heel face dynamic at all. Like, because I don't really know either of them. So that, I don't know. It was just a match that kind of happened, and I'm like, this is okay, I guess.
Right, there was nothing to make you feel, right?
Yeah, nothing made me feel anything, really.
What did you think about them as like individual wrestlers? Do you even remember them?
The eye patch girl was cute. And she was the one with the jock dude, right? With the hair?
Yeah.
They're called the Varsity Blondes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I think they have a cool, like, that's a fun, like, little gimmick that they got going, honestly. Like,
Yeah, it's a cute gimmick.
it's just cute. It's cute.
Like it's on his last legs though at this point.
Is it? Yeah, I haven't seen
Like
them at
it-
all.
it's-
I haven't
it's-
watched it in so long.
It's cool. It's fine. It's Brian Pillman. It's Brian Pillman Jr. So the son of Brian Pillman.
Yeah.
And a newcomer named Griff Garrison, and it's Julia. She's their.
I think that
leader.
Griff with an F.
Yeah.
I think he looks cool. I think
Yeah.
that if he wasn't like in that current gimmick, he could do something cool.
Yeah. Oh, I think so too. I don't think there's very long for that gimmick. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Seems like they're about to break up, so
Mm.
it might be where they're going. We'll see. I want to see Brian Pillman Jr. in a highlighted spot for sure.
I think Brian
But-
Pillman Jr. is great. I think he's a great promo too, and I really like him. So I'm hoping that they do something more with him.
There's another case
Yeah.
in point though of Julia Hart being integrated with that group, and even though
Mhm.
they're not a heavily featured group, like that's how I know Julia Hart.
It's still exposure, you know. It's
Yeah.
it's good.
And her doing the eye patch gimmick is really good. They just need to like
Yeah, and that of course
They need to
ties
put-
into
they
their
need-
whole
yeah.
House of Black feud.
yeah, they need to put that together for sure. And then we have the main event, and before we talk about the fucking Royal Rumble,
Oh,
Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus Private Party.
I
You
thought
know-
this was pretty awesome, to be honest.
was
Let's
fun.
start. Yeah, it was
It's-
a very fun match.
It started out with like a bang. You know, you teased. I mean, was it that Private Party hit their finish like with like almost a minute
super
in?
early.
Yeah.
Less.
Super
It was like
early.
seconds
Yeah.
in.
Like we bought it almost.
We did almost buy it.
Yeah.
I wish they didn't have a Jungle Boy kick out of it. I wish Luchasaurus would have been the
100%.
one to make the break. Like, because then it would have been way more believable. It would have been insane. We would have saw like Luchasaurus come off camera to fucking land and do the break. That was nuts. Like in Private Party, I don't know so much about the other one, but Mark Quinn he's got something, man. I think he's gonna be a really good singles guy one day. Hopefully, he's got something.
I like them both, to be honest. But yeah, I definitely I agree that he definitely has something.
Yeah, Luchasaurus just wrestles like a cow on ice.
True.
But he's got a cool gimmick and looks cool, and Jungle Boy's just awesome.
I love Jungle Boy, dude.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
Before AEW, I was watching him. Like, dude, I think he's really
Yeah.
cool. I like
Future.
that there could be more in the future, and like him adapting to like wrestling, and like maybe get a haircut and like becomes like
No.
this straight. Wait,
No.
listen, hear me out.
No.
Straight laced, just kind of, heel turn Jungle Boy, dude.
Handsome.
Heel turn
Dude.
Jungle Boy, dude. Cuts
Did
the
you know-
hair, straight laced, and just like I want to wrestle now. I'm like, oh, okay.
He gets the biggest ratings of everybody with women than anybody else.
That doesn't surprise me. He's a handsome kid.
And you
Yeah,
want to
dude,
cut his hair?
If you want to cut his hair,
Listen, it's just what the future could bring.
I guess. Yeah, I
we
don't
need
know.
We need to kill that
I don't know.
timeline.
I don't know. Maybe if he like wore it up or something. I don't even know. Oh yeah.
Straightens
Well,
it.
that was pretty solid. It was just a really good, solid tag team.
And you
championship
immediately
match.
set up challengers.
as
Right
the
at
main
end.
event. Yeah, they sure did.
The Ass Boys.
Oh yeah, the Ass Boys. Those guys are getting over as the Ass Boys. Billy Gunn
Because of
has
the
no
announcement.
business being as good as he is today, as he is now, as he is. He's so good.
What was the match we saw him in a couple weeks ago?
Darby Allin.
Yeah, that was really good. I was shocked, because for someone who just doesn't do a whole lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure that's probably good for him, right? He shouldn't be constantly in the ring, but he's really good for all things considered.
Yeah, there was a couple weeks ago where one of his sons had a match, and I guess the finish got botched or something, and he left the ring and he was bitching, and dude, you could and just they didn't even give a fuck. Billy Gunn went up to him and fucking was like, "Hey man, fucking stop that shit or whatever. Just fucking got onto him and like told him to go back and do it right. That's just awesome. Oh my god. All right. Do we talk about the?
I think first we should talk about the promo on the Go Home show.
Oh,
Oh
dude,
god.
I'm deleting
Rose
Facebook,
can set this.
dude. I'm deleting Facebook. So
Set us up.
I was scrolling whilst we were watching, AEW, and there was a post, and it was like, oh, when Roman cut that promo, my heart broke. I'm like, okay, so maybe it's a good promo. So we go back and watch it. That was the most cringeworthy shit I've seen in a very long time.
Oh my god. Like, so it starts like, I haven't watched like these guys in a while. Seth Rollins is running like this $5 Joaquin Phoenix Joker gimmick. It's terrible, it's cringy. Roman is selling it like he's like going to cry at any given second. And the whole feud is built around that, like, oh, we were in the Shield and you like Seth Rollins ruined it by like breaking it up. That was in 2014, 8 years ago. These people have crossed paths since then. They've had feuds since then. They've had reunions.
Reunions.
Since then. Multiple reunions since then. And they were acting like this is like fresh. They haven't seen each other in 8 years, and Roman's talking to him like, he's like a lover that he's like, I can't believe you ruined us. Like, awful. And then it ends with this pathetic shoving match, looking straight out of like a schoolyard fight, like when the janitor's coming to break it up. That's exactly what it looked like. And, oh my god, it did not make me excited at all for their match.
I'll play a devil's advocate here. And while you're right on almost every count, I do think that if you have a story that you can tell, like, and maybe this is a bad thing, I don't know, but I remember some people that would teach me back in the day, like they would say, don't let logic stand in the way of a good story.
Oh well, they have no problem there.
Yeah, so they didn't let logic stand in the way of a good story. And I know the idea that they were trying to do is like, Seth Rollins did something bad and he thinks it's funny. And it's like if you got like the fucking like guy who shot up the fucking Batman theater, if he was laughing about what he did, and that's what they were trying to get over. And like it was just a chair shot that broke up their team that they got back to, like you said, they got back together, and it was so bad. But I do understand that they were trying to tell a story.
I get that, but it was just so cringy. So
poorly executed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh my gosh, dude. And the way he was like, they were being sad and they weren't. Oh my god. And Seth Rollins kept laughing. That new gimmick, I don't want to see it. Like, you could say, oh, he's heel. Or actually, I couldn't even tell who the heel and who the face was.
I have no idea. I still can't tell. Even after the match. I mean, after the match, I can tell. But was that a face turn for Rollins? I have no idea.
Yeah, what the hell happened?
And I'll be honest, like, so I when I gave up on WWE, it was right after they actually turned Rollins heel again.
Oh my god.
Because I was just like, this is like, it was like a buildup of like weeks and weeks of just bad stuff, and then it was just like the Messiah gimmick was so terrible. This is probably worse. Oh my god, and like this is someone who was like at one point like one of my like favorite guys to watch, and I just can't anymore.
Yeah, it's weird. It's so weird that he's become like this weird. Oh my god. And it seems like he's having fun. Like he likes what he's doing. Like,
I mean, to be fair, I could see having fun with that, but I would have like at least the wherewithal to know that like this is terrible. But like I'm just gonna enjoy like having fun doing something hilariously dumb.
So that was probably your first look at stuff since you've been watching again. What did you think about their shit? Let's talk about the match and the promo. What do you think, Rose?
So the match. I think the match was solid. You know, they're both good. You know, and I think the match was solid. The finish was, I mean, okay. I I don't know. I expected more, but I think both guys can go. I think the and if I knew the storyline more, I might have cared, but I probably wouldn't have because they haven't done a good
It was
storyline
probably
in
better that you didn't know the
years.
storyline.
I think so too. Yeah, probably. Um, I used to love Seth Rollins like a lot, and honestly, Reigns is probably doing his best work since he didn't talk in the Shield, probably. Um, it's just it's so difficult to watch people that like you're like, oh yeah, this used to be these dudes used to be fucking awesome, and they're just kind of like, oh, this is kind of cringe, and yeah, match was solid. That's about it. I didn't like the finish.
Well, and like so the finish was of course, Seth getting choked out and he's like basically merged into the ropes and Roman just won't let go, so he gets disqualified, which I guess would suggest that they have to do like a rematch, right? But then it's like, do we do a three-way of Roman, Brock, and Seth again for the main
No.
event?
Ooh,
Please, no.
I mean, not that like Brock versus Roman is fresh. Like we've had that. I mean, I think someone said that that if they main event this year, they would have main evented more than The Rock and Steve Austin. Like that exact match.
oh, that's crazy. Actually, that's crazy to think about.
The another thing I wanted to add, and it's not necessarily about the match itself, but the crowd was red hot.
Dude, they loved it.
Yeah, and
I
they
was
were
surprised.
they were liking garbage. Like even the bad shit they were liking. Like they went fucking crazy for Bad Bunny, which we'll get to. In the fucking Rumble. I couldn't believe it. I was like, who are these fucking people?
What is weird too, because their crowds like pre-pandemic were dead constantly.
Somebody
like-
asked me like how long are they going to be putting on this terrible product before the company finally just dies? And I was like, never. Like they drew 45,000 people for the Royal Rumble, and the crowd was hot, and they were into every fucking thing in the show, and it was cringe. It was cringe. I was like, who are these fucking people? Who are they?
It's like if you're like watching like a ninja stream or something, and like the crowd, the chat's just eating it all up, right? Like it's.
Dude, the thing is, I feel like maybe it's not WWE as a whole that is like drawing and making people like excited to be there. I think it's people just wanting to be back out in crowds. I think
Could
that
be,
like
yeah.
Maybe.
people have been cooped up for the past 2.5 years. They're just like, we want to be together. We want to be loud. We want to be boisterous. We want to fucking drink and do whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
And I think people are just excited to have that atmosphere back.
Well, and I think a lot
That's
of
a
it's
great
more,
point.
a lot of it's more tied to I think like the Rumble itself, because I know that there's been shows where they just aren't drawing crowds at all.
Oh,
Really?
everyone
So-
loves the Rumble,
Yeah.
Like
That's true.
I there's so many maybe not non wrestling fans, but ex wrestling fans that are like, oh yeah, the only two shows I watch are the Rumble and Mania. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense because they're the two that do the best usually. And I think it's like there's a nostalgia factor to the Rumble that people are like, yeah, let's be there, let's watch it, yeah, let's all get together, and I think that really works in WWE's favor for shows like this.
Yeah, I agree.
So for the sake of time, so we can get to the community questions, let's skip some of the other matches and let's talk about the two Rumbles themselves and the championship match.
Can I talk about the championship match before we do the Rumble?
Let's talk about the championship match. Yeah,
Do it.
Oh my god. So, and like the WWE Championship match. So Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar is like this long-standing dream match, right? And it's one that I personally always wanted to see, but I just gave up on it because like the product sucks and like they clearly had no interest in doing it. So they came up with these hype packages, right, showing off their whole career outside of New Japan at TNA because those don't exist. All this stuff to hype it up, just to the match starts. We're all pretty into it, right? Like they're throwing stuff around, they're doing like cool shit, like it's two hosses just going at it, and then there's a ref bump. Roman comes out, beats up Brock, hits him with the title, leaves with Paul Heyman, and then Bobby Lashley pins Brock. Dream match ruined. I get it for the sake of the story. I just think it shouldn't have been booked in the first place if this is what you're going to do with it. This was like one of the few fresh matches that they had left, and they just wasted it.
Yeah, I definitely see why they did it, like why they did the finish that way, because they have their plan is for Roman and Brock, and they needed to get the title off Brock, and a clean win would have made it would have made him look bad, and going to challenge for the championship would be weird.
But they've done it.
Challenge.
They did it. They did it with Becky in 2019.
Doesn't make it good.
No,
you know,
it doesn't,
like they learned from that mistake, but like, I can see why they fucking did that, but at the same time, you're right, dude. The match was fucking sick. Like they were beating each other's ass. That first German suplex that Bobby gave to Brock was we popped for that. Like it was cool. Did you get to watch this match, Brose?
I watched bits and pieces of it. I wasn't exactly.
Yeah, you had a blizzard.
It wasn't exactly
Right.
enthralling, so I was kind of like,
Go ahead.
With the.
Yeah,
Sorry.
We were into the match prior to the finish.
Yeah, the finish was rough, dude.
Yeah. Like I said, I see why they did it. I get it, but man, they fucking
From
ruined that
a
match.
storytelling aspect, I think it was like, okay.
It made
Yeah.
sense, but like it's like you need to like again, like they don't book with any real thought to the future, right? Like they know that like Brock versus Roman's the destination. Then don't do a match where he's the champion against like Bobby Lashley if you're just gonna ruin it for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see that. They could have done a champion versus champion match. Why couldn't they do that?
I know.
Like, is that weird? Like, couldn't they unify the title? I don't know. I guess they want to keep the two championships or whatever. But
It's such a weird booking conundrum that like is exclusive to them because they're the only people that insist on doing this whole two brand thing.
Yeah. Okay, the women's rumble.
Awful.
So bad.
They bring out like all these like older women that they portray all of them as legends. I think that was like maybe true of like Melina and like her alone.
Well, what about Molly Holly? There's a couple.
Okay, yeah, I guess it
Lita.
was Molly Holly, but like they bring them out and like with the exception I think of Lita, they were just like tossed out immediately, right? Melina's the second person in. She's in for less than a minute. Does nothing. Does her entrance, which was cool, but like that was all you got.
And it's crazy, like seeing like the Divas era women that come out, and like they're like they think that people are like pumped to see them back, and like they're excited to see their old moves, like Kelly. Oh my god,
Kelly was so bad.
Oh my gosh, dude, she did that tilt-a-whirl head scissors, and she did the little scream while she did it. Nobody ever thought that was good. Nobody. There's nobody. I don't know. Is there anybody out there that's listening to this? If you listen to this, did you think that was cool? Like, did you think it was awesome when she did the head scissors and yelled like back in the day and now? Like, were you like, oh, she's doing the fucking move? I don't even know what the move is called. Like, did they call it?
Did it have a name? I don't think it had a name.
Yeah, what was that? She thought that was one of her signature moves. So she gets in and she fucking does the thing, and it's so bad. And then she does the little like neck stretch thing over the ropes, and she's standing on her hands and gets drop kicked and just fucking plops out the ring.
That was the best bump on the whole show, to be fair.
It really
that was really good, dude. It was such a funny bump, and like we rewinded it like 50 times to see it. It was
And I mean,
so
I will
funny.
say, in their defense, I liked that they at least gave her like her spot to do something.
Right.
Like mostly, I in both the matches, like very few people stood out for anything. And usually, like, at the very least, everyone gets, like, their spot of doing something cool before, you know, kind of going back to, like, the Muldrum of, like, there's 20 people in the ring or whatever. But there really wasn't a lot of that this year, in my opinion.
No.
Though I did realize for the Legends, what was it? Michelle McCool was in for 20 minutes.
Didn't they do that for her in the past where she was, like, she had, like, the most eliminations or something?
Is that what it is? I have no idea.
It was either most eliminations or she was like an iron. I don't know, dude. It was one. I think it was the second one, the second Women's Royal Rumble.
Okay,
And yeah, they just kind of.
We could do a whole episode on how bad the Divas era like wrestlers
True.
were. Oh my god, and just who? Oh, and then Summer Rae.
Legend.
Oh my God.
You gotta refer to her as such.
She
Legend.
ran for less than a minute.
She tried. She thought she had
Yeah.
some she thought she had some real heat with like the way she was going on Twitter, and she thought she came in as like she was in her head. She looked like she thought she was the hottest heel in the business at the moment.
Well, the only people that she would really have like heat with are the people that are like us, but actually like the WWE product. You know, people
True.
who like have like a more respect for like what a legend is, but like we just don't care. Right?
It was
It's like,
oh my God, dude. Yeah, what constitutes a WWE legend at this point? And oh my God, Summer Rae. And they got in there, they faced off thinking that people cared about their little Twitter war. And
I didn't even know that there was a Twitter war, dude. I had no clue.
Yeah, dude, it went over like a fart in church. It was so bad.
Sarah Logan in for less than a minute. That was at least a nice moment with her.
Dude, she came back looking cool, different, updated, looking badass, like she was ready to like work the main event, and got thrown right
toss her out.
We didn't get enough.
Sad. I was genuinely sad about that.
Yeah, we didn't even have enough time to discuss how she's married to the War Raider guy before she got tossed out.
Yeah,
we're still talking about it like she got tossed out.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What was there another one? Mickie James, probably the big topic of conversation for this Rumble.
We were real worried about how she was going to get treated. Like, she's Impact World Champion, got thrown out on music. Oh my gosh, she that was cool. She came out to her actual like Impact music, which was cool. They let her use her Impact music and didn't give her some like generic song with a bunch of horns like they have in WWE now, and like
they gave her a single elimination.
She got an elimination and then got fucking dumped out.
She was in there for a while, but again, it was like she was in there apparently for like 11 minutes, but she
didn't do anything. Yeah,
she should have been
sequence.
She should have been one of the final like 4, at least top 5.
Or at the very least, what they should have done is like she comes in and just like cleans house a bit, right? Like does some cool stuff, eliminates like 3 people immediately. That would have been at least like, oh, okay, cool. Like, you know, they're at least portraying
she's
another
a champion.
company's champion.
Exactly.
As, relevant.
Did they even have a moment where her and I don't remember.
No.
But did they have a moment where her and Charlotte faced off?
If they did, it wasn't like ever a focal point on the camera.
I don't remember. That would have been sick.
That would have been really
God.
Cool, yeah. I'm just happy that they let her have the belt and like she brought it out and they didn't do anything stupid to it. She just put it down and got in the ring. That's what made me happy.
I could have missed that. I feel like that's so like such a no-brainer of what something.
If they did it, like it's 50 camera cuts and it, you didn't see it.
Oh my god! So please, anybody listening, tell me if I missed it or something, please. Ronda Rousey coming back was cool. She's kind of a weird wrestler. I don't feel like she's like on the level of Brock Lesnar as far as an attraction goes. Not as like star power, but like even like she's believable, but she doesn't have the same like aura that like a Brock Lesnar would have.
I agree.
I think like somebody like Shayna Baszler does, and I was pretty bummed about Shayna Baszler not getting her shot this time.
Yeah, she didn't really do anything. I mean, I think we knew once Ronda came out that she was winning.
Yeah, immediately. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still wanted Shayna, like in my heart of hearts, I wanted Shayna to win that, dude. Like
same here. I would have loved at least to see like what would have happened. Like Shayna and Ronda had to have a go at the very end, have like a little tiny mini match because they're the last ones in. Like
it was weird. They had like a moment where they like looked at each other and like kind of smiled, and like commentary like took note of it.
They're friends. They're best friends.
But it's like that involves like acknowledging like what happened outside the WWE because they've never done anything together in the company.
That's true. Yeah,
and it's just a waste. Like it
is a waste. Know. And like in AEW, they like don't do that at all. They know that what's happened outside the ring. Like Danhausen as a good example, like we talked about earlier, and like they know that they were kind of like it's kind of like a respect thing. Like they respect your knowledge as a fan.
They respect your intelligence, and WWE does not at all.
Yeah, they don't insult your intelligence. Exactly. That's
when you had a bit of that with like the men's Rumble, which maybe we can pivot to, but like when AJ Styles and Nakamura were the first two. And they're like, these guys have a lot of history.
But they didn't. They also didn't really do anything. Like they were having. Like they didn't have a match. Like, oh,
They did.
But like also
They had that.
but here's
They had
the
that
thing,
disappointing Mania match.
WWE talking about their history is them kicking each other in the nuts. That's their history.
Yeah.
They're not.
But, like,
I
they
don't think.
acknowledged. They did acknowledge that they've had a long.
did they really say
history.
that? Did they say something like that?
I wish. I wish they did.
But he's talking about like that, like their feud basically just boiled down. to, like,
That's what it did in WWE. But like us, people who know like the actual like incredible history that they do have.
Yeah. Oh man, in the commentary, holy fuck! Oh my god.
across
Dude,
the board.
I cannot listen to Pat McAfee. I can't stand him, dude.
Yeah, he's pretty insufferable on commentary. I hadn't heard him on it. It's not
Dude.
good. And then if Michael Cole's, so
And what's the other guy's name? I can't remember his
Byron
name.
Saxton.
Yeah, Byron Saxton is the Yoshihashi of commentary. Like, holy fuck, he's such a dork. I can't stand it. So bad.
Well, both these Rumbles, but particularly the men's, had like a lot of people that like weren't in them that I was shocked weren't in there.
Yeah, like who?
Like the men's Rumble, no Finn Balor, no Cesaro.
Yeah, what the hell? What? There's no Finn Balor? We had Bad Bunny. Let's just talk about the fucking Men's Royal Rumble right now.
Let's do it.
Oh my god. Bad Bunny was in the Rumble.
For way too long. First of all,
Getting over on fucking Kevin Owens and everybody else that's an actual wrestler with his skinny string bean ass in a fucking sweatsuit. Doing moves, tackling people, doing punches,
Honestly,
doing
so
moves.
for me, the worst part, and like he got eliminated right after this, but when he just goes face to face with Brock Lesnar, like it was like I'm gonna like punk out with Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar immediately like tosses him out. But it was like I couldn't believe it. I'm like,
I don't think that was good enough. It should have been more violent.
yeah, like it was pathetic, and it's like it made me think of like when David Arquette became champion. Obviously, nothing quite that, but like he won in like an incredibly stupid way, right? But it didn't feel like he didn't go toe to toe with Brock Lesnar, right?
David Arquette is
he didn't just, like, just
believable
bury like the business the way that did, right? I just thought it was like, so stupid. Just like I can take Brock Lesnar. Like, are you kidding me?
Are we gonna see him like in fucking 10 years, 15 years, like work on the indies to make up for him?
Yeah. He'll be wrestling
like like David Arquette did in fucking wrestling Nick Gage and shit.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I know like he's over with a certain segment of the crowd, and I don't drink enough bath salts for it to be the part of that crowd, to be honest. It's just like he came out, Shane McMahon came back, eliminated Kevin Owens, and like that was it. Like,
oh god damn,
I
dude.
can't-
They did
I
Kevin
Johnny
Owens
Knoxville was in as like this crossover thing, and like I remember you were like, well, he's gonna take an insane bump.
bad. Did he? I don't remember
No.
what happened to him.
No.
I don't remember what happened to Johnny Knoxville.
He basically just got shoved off the apron.
Is that what it was? Dude, I thought he was gonna take like the sickest, like
No,
straight
it
on
was-
his head bump from
it was
inside the ring to outside.
It was the most tame thing imaginable. Oh my god!
I thought he was gonna take the sickest bump of all time. And, like,
it
he
was
didn't.
not.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
What else was a highlight here or a low light? Dominic just like does nothing. Like it's the exact opposite of like what they do with Hook in AEW, right? Like he came in, he helped eliminate Omos, and I'm pretty sure that was all he did. Didn't show off anything cool. Nothing.
Fuck. I still can't get over Johnny Knoxville getting shoved. I can't get over it. I can't stop thinking about it. Oh my god. Okay. Is there anything else notable about the Rumble? I'm so ready to get on the viewer questions.
Yeah, dude.
Or listener
honestly,
questions, I mean.
It was cringeworthy, and it was WWE at its.
Yeah.
I think
at its-
the biggest takeaway was just every time we like saw someone come in that we liked, it's just like, God, like how they've ruined this person.
Yeah, we all thought about how they're not using them right, or like the missed opportunities. It's all you think about. It's so depressing.
Yeah, it's like
It's so depressing.
Bobby Roode, Chad Gable, Otis,
Yeah.
like everyone. Just Oh, Kofi had the botch with his.
The Royal Rumble is just a fucking battle royale of your broken dreams, dude. Look, if you didn't watch the Royal Rumble and you're thinking about getting that fucking Peacock subscription and going and watching it, don't do that. Spend your money and get like PWG's Battle of Los Angeles. I guarantee you that was probably a better show, and I wish I watched it. I'm probably gonna watch it this week.
Call me out harder next time, dude. I spent the $5. Dude, I got it, dude.
Bro, Zay was like, dude, I'll just pay for it. No big deal, dude. I'll just do it. Like, he got it, and I was like, I'm not. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Okay.
And then my internet goes out for hours, so that was dope.
Well, I guess you can watch The Office, right? That's on there.
Oh, true. That's very true.
Okay, so we got some listener questions. This is our very first episode, so thank you guys so much for submitting some questions. I got some on my tweet. I know you got some on your tweet.
Yep.
We'll just do one back and forth. So I thought this was a really good question from Taste My Sin, Iron Mind, good friend Wes, out there in Twitter land. Is AEW falling victim to talent grabbing and not using people like they should? That's a great question. I think that they are doing a lot of talent grabbing, and they aren't using some people, but I think that they also have their YouTube shows, and their YouTube shows are kind of seen as like Z-list shows, but they're not bad. Like you watch them and there are people that are like learning and stuff like that, but they have some good shit on those shows. They have storylines. They've got things like that, and I think that those YouTube shows are something that they're embracing, like a new media, which is YouTube as a platform to watch pro wrestling on, right? And I know that there's other companies that have done that too, but I think that's how AEW thinks about their YouTube show, and they do use a lot of those people on that show, and I think that's a good thing. I know they don't release a lot of people because Tony Khan feels like if you agree on a contract, then you should live out that contract. And if we don't see a lot of those people on TV, they're probably not going to get their contract renewed. They're going to run out their contract. So they probably still like make appearances and stuff like that. So to agree, yes, they are doing that thing where they're talent grabbing and not using people like they should. They only have so much time for TV that they can, and they can only showcase so many people. But at the same time, they're probably getting the opportunity to like be creative and do the matches that they want to do. They're getting those opportunities to be themselves. They're not getting scripted promos. They're getting those opportunities, and if those opportunities don't pop off, that might be on the wrestler in this case.
I'd like to add something real quick too, that I think it's underrated just how much that like having this broad roster allows him to like circle in talent and keep things fresh, right? You know, I've seen people like be critical of someone like Lance Archer, like when he's off TV, like, oh, like what are they really doing with him? But when he comes back, it's exciting.
That's true.
He does something new that you haven't seen before. Like I don't think we've had like a singles match between him and Hangman before, right? Or if we have, it's been a really long time. But you know, we had the Texas Death Match of Moxley for the NGPW US title. There's people like that where it's like, yeah, you can keep them off for a bit and give someone else a turn to like kind of like,
get over,
run the gambit. Yeah, and then you can bring up back the other person. It's kind of exciting to see them back. They're in a fresh angle. They're in a fresh feud. I think it's an asset to them to have a big roster.
Pac is a good example of that too. They keep him off. They keep him off TV, and I think
some of that's tied. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that he should just try and move here. Like, just move here. Just live here. You've got this really cool show that they like to use you on. But when he comes back, it's exciting. Like, he does, like, a surprise 100%. Appearance. They play that cool fucking music, or he joins up with the Death Triangle, and it's cool, and it's exciting.
And he's an incredible talent.
Yeah, he's really good. But at the same time, maybe there's some people that aren't on TV enough for people to, like, be invested in and stuff like that. But when you have, like, a guy like Marco Stunt who's still under contract, and he might not be.
His contract might have expired.
Yeah, his contract is probably going to expire, and they're not going to use him anymore. But they'll keep him under contract so they can honor it. I bet you he would, if he wanted to be released and not get that money. I bet you he would he'd get granted that release. Like, they've been good about that kind of stuff. They have they seem to have like a really good rapport with their employees over there, and I think it's a little different. But you're right. They're getting a lot of people, and there might not be enough room for everybody. I guess that's like the nature of the beast. But yeah, I think it's a little of both, but it's just a kind of a different situation in my opinion. What do you think, Brose?
I think honestly, I think AEW does definitely kind of wear themselves thin in terms of booking people. They they pay a lot of money to have these guys on contract, but they don't use them enough. But it's a similar thing that WWE did a couple of years ago. You know, they bought everyone. They bought the entirety of the UK indie scene, and look where it is now. You know, it's doing great. So I'm hoping that AEW learns from WWE's mistakes, and they use the people properly. And they don't end up releasing 100 and some odd employees 2 years in a row.
Right.
Yeah,
That's something
I
that
agree.
no one deserves.
I think they're doing it the right way, and they're honoring the contract that they agreed to.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to do it, and they're not just firing somebody and then like putting them on blast and saying, "Oh, they're gone. We fired them. Good luck in your future endeavor, asshole," or whatever, and sending them their gear in their trash bag.
Yeah. Poor
You want to take a question from your tweets?
Yes. Let me open it again. So there's a lot of questions on this tweet, so maybe we do like a couple, not all of them, and then next week we have a little bag of things we can dip our hands into.
For sure.
So Caribou G says, who is your favorite tag team from the Ruthless Aggression era? So to a callback, because I talked about him earlier, but Paul London and Brian Kendrick, dude, were two of my favorites growing up, and seeing them. Like Paul London did a whole thing with Billy Kidman, and I think Paul London and Brian Kendrick definitely were someone to watch back then. So I'd say those two are probably my favorite Ruthless Aggression era tag teams. Also, they had that really long run on SmackDown, which was really dope. So I think they're cool.
That is cool. What about you, EOD?
Oh man, I had to look up a list real quick just to see who all was around. Honestly, I might have to go with Eminem. I thought they had a really cool gimmick going for them. Giant Nitro and Joey Mercury. I thought, and Nitro obviously is kind of really, his career really sprung off like after that too. But I thought it was just like a neat, like they were a really fresh group of guys that was able, and of course they had Melina as their manager, and I thought it was such a cool gimmick, a fresh group of guys. I've seen them go over a lot of people, and I found them really entertaining.
Yeah.
Great matches with the Hardys too. Great matches with the Hardys.
Mine, the Dudleys. They're versatile. They could work with anyone. They were weird and exciting to watch. I loved them in ECW, and they were a really great fit for that era of WWE. And I liked how strong they used them.
Yeah, I love the Dudleys too. I just kind of associate them more so with like the prior era, but yeah, right. They were still around. They
used them as like a tag team that were a real threat. Like they're like, oh well, The Rock and your part and Triple H. Well, your partner, you guys got to work together, and you got to face the Dudleys, and it was like a big deal. And it's like, it's a tables match, and oh fuck, we got to fucking deal with the Dudleys or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like to me, that was fucking cool, and I think the Dudleys are they're timeless. In the way they were so versatile in the way they worked. I know Bubba's got a lot of heat right now because he's an asshole, but Bubba's always been a fucking asshole. Yeah. But as workers, as a tag team, definitely the fucking Dudleys. So let's take two more questions. I think is that two sound good?
Yeah, two's good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Take one from mine. I'll take one from Davey Wade. What's the big picture for NJPW look like this year? It's difficult. NJPW is in a really difficult spot right now, since all the COVID restrictions in Japan and stuff like that. Oh man, did you guys see that complaining that ELP did on his Instagram?
No.
He was like just venting about the restrictions and stuff. Um, oh, let me see. I don't know if he deleted it now or not, but
Well, I
it was
know,
literally.
because he lives stateside, right? Or is he in
He
Canada?
well no he lives in he lives in Canada. Oh here remove my last post because the last few people got missed the point of what I was saying. Basically, people thought he was being anti-vax or anti-COVID or COVID denier. He was not. What he was saying was like, I wish I had the quote on me right now, but I can't fucking find it. But he was talking. He was just complaining. He said how stupid it was that they're all sitting together on a bus, but then they only let people in the elevator one at a time, and like how his insane flight to Japan was so long, and then it was like 6 or 7 hours before he ever got to his hotel because of the COVID restrictions, and like how slow they have to do everything, and how many tests that he had to take, and just how like overbearing the actual protocols are, and it's supposed to be for their safety, but there's an inconsistency in how they're doing it over there. But my point is like how restrictive it is over there right now. NJPW had to cancel some of their shows, and they're delayed on their storylines and everything like that. I don't know where they're going to go. I feel like they've been doing a really good job of kind of making chicken salad out of chicken shit, and they haven't been able to tell the most cohesive stories that they have done in the past that we know of. But what you can always fucking count on with New Japan is that you will get the best matches of anywhere. Nobody has better matches in New Japan right now. Nobody. True. Nobody. And you can always count on that, especially with Okada as champion. Like, his defenses are going to be unreal. Like, they always have been. So that is something that you can look forward to. Is there going to be stories that you can sink your teeth into? That remains to be seen. But that's what I think that we're going to see from New Japan this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they're definitely in a rough spot. I mean, I was thinking with like the travel restrictions and whatnot, you might end up seeing some of their roster try to leave and go elsewhere just because, like, like El Phantasma in particular, right? Like, I mean, that's a really tough way to like make a go of it, right? Is you have to keep going to Japan and dealing with all this, like, and in some cases it is like really ridiculous, like the level of like the amount of quarantine time that they have, things like that. I could see him maybe trying to go elsewhere just because, like, he might love working in New Japan, but it might just be tough for him to keep going with it. And I think that could be true of a lot of their gaijins and whatnot. We'll see as far as like who's there and whatnot. It's kind of interesting because I mentioned before that this Wrestle Kingdom sort of felt like a reset, right? Reset back to the norm, right? Where a lot of the people that sort of carried them through this last year lost, and you have like Okada back as the champion instead of Ospreay or Shingo. And things like that. So we'll see where they end up.
Brose, since you're just kind of coming back, and we watched Okada versus Ospreay the other night.
Yeah.
Like, how excited, if excited at all, are you to see what New Japan's going to be doing this year?
I for a long time I followed New Japan, like, maybe not religiously, but I used to follow it a lot, and I was it was towards right when AJ left, and it was just in such a good spot, and I think COVID definitely ruined Japanese wrestling for me, because it was you wouldn't see it as much. There wasn't as much exposure because they couldn't do the shows that they're used to. The big arena shows are always just like, if there's always an atmosphere to it that definitely they didn't have. I didn't feel like they had it at Wrestle Kingdom this year. That with the match that we watched, it just felt off, but it was amazing wrestling. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what saved it. So
Yeah.
without that crowd feeling, because like Japanese crowds are just so different than what like an American fan is used to.
They're a lot louder nowadays, but there's a very important thing that they're doing in Japan. One of the restrictions is they're like, hey, you're allowed to go to this wrestling show, but you're not allowed to yell. Like, that's a rule there.
That's a rule?
That's a rule there that
Yeah,
everybody's following. That's why there's a lot of like stomping and clapping and stuff like that. They're not allowed to make noise with their mouth, and that's why it sounded the way it did.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all.
usually the modern Japanese wrestling fans, they're actually pretty freaking loud.
Mm-hmm.
They do sound different than American fans, but like they get loud. They really do.
So
But yeah,
I'm definitely excited to follow it again, to like uh, to learn more people, because like I know the big guys, I know the Okadas, I know the Ospreys, I know the Jay Whites and the just I know the big guys, but I want to learn the little guys too.
Have you seen Shingo yet?
I've seen him like I stopped watching right when he was like starting to come
Yeah.
up,
He was,
um
in my
go-
opinion, he was without a doubt head and shoulders the best wrestler in the world last year. Like he was that good. Like he was just
He was really
unreal.
good.
And very underrated. A lot of people weren't talking about it, but man, he had consistently the best matches of all of wrestling last year. And you need to see that guy. We gotta show you some stuff. It's great.
definitely.
All right. Let's take another question from your
Let's
list.
Let's do a simple one, since it's
Okay.
it's the first pod, and we can learn a little bit about each other. Favorite era of wrestling?
Go ahead.
Mine's pretty easy. I really enjoyed the Ruthless Aggression era. There was just that was like my peak fan, like my I was there for it the entire time. I was the SmackDown 6. I was just like, oh, Kurt Angle, he's one of my favorites, and just Eddie is my all-time favorite wrestler of all time. Like all time. I said it twice cuz I had to. Eddie's number 1 for me. And then like Shawn Michaels coming back, and just like maybe not so much Triple H. We don't have to talk about him, but dude, it was such a cool time period because there was just so many faces and so many recognizable faces. Like it was just good. I just loved it. Loved it. Great stuff. Good shit.
EOD?
So for me, I mean, maybe this is literally just recency bias, but I would honestly say like the current era. I think this is really where I think there's, some of the best matches of all time are happening, right now in New Japan and AEW elsewhere. I mean, yeah, WWE is awful as a product, but I think like everything else is firing on all cylinders, and I think we're getting like some incredible wrestling content all around in this past, I don't know how long you want to count this era for, but I honestly, like, for me, it's this era probably.
Yeah, I actually have to agree with that. Like, it's a toss up for me. Like 2005 to 2000, like 2004, 2005 to 2008 or 9 for Ring of Honor was just, to me, like one of the best fucking strings of wrestling I've ever seen on the independents and stuff. But the modern era, the way like they're acknowledging you as being an intelligent fan, the quality of wrestling that we're getting across the board is better than we've ever had. I think for the whole, I think there's some things that are missing, like that some old school stuff could bring back, but like across the board, I think the wrestling quality is a lot better. It's so easy to watch wrestling right now. If you want to watch New Japan, it's easy. If you want to watch Indies, it's really easy. Oh man, I remember how hard it was, like how big of a deal it was when like Ring of Honor, even ECW got fucking pay-per-view. And it was like crazy. Oh, people can watch ECW now. Now it's fucking easy to watch anything. And like anything.
Well,
And
before it was so tied to like tape trading. And
yeah, it was tape trading, and like even like the internet has like grainy fucking YouTube videos and stuff like that. But now, man, like if I want to watch GCW or Podunk's Pro Wrestling down in fucking Southern Georgia or some shit, I can watch that shit. You can see it. And I love that shit. I remember ordering a fucking best of Bryan Danielson and James Gibson DVDs off of fucking eBay from a tape trader. Like, it's just a fucking DVD of just like their best match, or a stack of DVDs of their best matches and shit like that. And or getting tapes from my friends at school, my older friends at school and stuff like that. And like, I think this is the best era of wrestling ever. Like, it's just so strong. And you're right, like WWE is crappy, but at the same time, at least there's something for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. There really is right now. And like, Some of the star power might not be the same, but man, we're about to hit like a golden era of wrestling right now. So join it with us. That's why we're doing a podcast right now. So
Yes, sir.
thank you guys for listening, and we're gonna take more questions from you guys next week. And it was wonderful. And you guys have anything to say to close?
I have nothing today, but yeah, it was great to start this journey.
Yeah, dude, it's like a dream come to fruition to finally sit down and record something like this, because it's something I've been talking about for literally 6 years. So it's very cool to be here with knowledgeable people, and it's gonna be a really, really fun journey.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. We will see you next week.